Good evening. Is everyone here for full moon group? Is anyone here for full moon group? Evening, Holly. Good to see you. Lovely to see you tonight on this lovely evening. I'm just going to turn my telly down a bit. It only has meditation music on it. It's only meditation music. I'm just trying to calm. You know, lunacy and the moon, it all causes all sorts of problems. And I certainly had a fair share of them this this week, so partially caused by myself. Hi Ben, hi Kate, hi Mealy. I hope you're all well. I'll give you a couple of seconds to join. We've got an open debate at the moment about wearing masks at hunts, and I understand that some people don't feel comfortable wearing masks, but I think as a group we have to kind of hi breeder, hello, I haven't seen you for ages. We have to kind of be responsible, so you know, although we're doing an outdoor hunt, I think we are going to have to ask people to potentially wear masks, but we will be providing them as well. All right, okay, so are we all here? So I'm going to tell you a bit about today's moon. All right, so a full moon occurs when the moon is located opposite side of the earth as the sun, meaning its face is fully illuminated. Now, while this full moon is often referred to as a full strawberry moon, our lunar satellite won't appear pink or red as you might expect. Instead, the name was given by the Native American tribes because it signalled the time of the year to gather ripening fruit. And apparently the time that you can pick strawberries and ripen strawberries is quite thin. So the main Farmer's Almanac first published the Indian names for the full moons in the 30s. Okay, and according to this almanac, the full moon in June, or the last moon of spring, is known as a strawberry moon, which is a name universal to just about every Algonquin tribe. And try and say that when you've had a mouthful. All right. The name comes from the relatively short season for harvesting strawberries. As I say, it is a short, in North America that is. So you might also hear this moon being referred to as mead moon or honey moon. Now, mead, I love mead. I'm not a drinker, but I love mead. It's kind of my drink, but that's, I think, the pagan in me. NASA added mead is a drink created by fermenting honey mixed with water, sometimes with fruits, spices, grains or hops. The tradition of calling the first month of marriage the honeymoon dates back to at least the 1500s and is also tied to this full moon, because June is a popular month to get hitched, would you believe? So it's also known as the honeymoon, which is the sweetest moon of the year. So couples who choose to get married at this time, it's meant to be good luck. So there you go. So off you'll go running away to get married, if you aren't already. Right, so some writings suggest that the time around the summer solstice at the end of June is when honey was ripe and ready to be harvested. And because of this, that's where this comes from. Okay, so the full moon on Friday, today, is 15 degrees Sagittarius. It's a lunar eclipse. So it makes people impulsive and angry, all right? It means people are likely to fall out. It means that arguments are likely to happen, okay? Impulsive behaviour, saying things or you know, speaking out loud sometimes things that maybe they shouldn't have done. And I'm witness myself of doing that this last few days. So there's a lack of self-control can turn love to hate. So people who otherwise love each other can turn to an almost hatred at this time. It results in impulsive actions and hostility. So the June lunar eclipse brings a danger of war between enemies as well as earthquakes. All right, so there's a whole big shift at this time, massive. I mean, it's massive throughout the whole of astronomy. It's a huge time. All right. So the lunar eclipse is like a regular full moon, only stronger, and a better time to work your magic. When I say magic, I mean magic with a K, not magic with a C. So the sun is opposite the moon, or a lunar eclipse, brings your home, family, and intimate relationships into sharper focus. So you start to see things a little bit more clear. You start to see things perhaps, you know, more extensively than you would have done. So imposing forces such as work versus home, or what you need versus what you want, or create inattention and external pressures. So, you know, you're putting a lot of pressure on ourselves at this time. All right, and it can lead to conflict and crises that drain your energy. So the lunar qualities of emotions and instincts reach their peak at a lunar eclipse. So use your increased emotional strength and intuition to overcome any relationship challenges. And there are challenges. There's challenges in friendships, there's challenges in relationships, there's challenges in family, there's challenges going on all over the place right now. And I understand that's even more enhanced with what's going on at the moment. So subconscious awareness allows for an impartial and imbalanced look at your personal relationships. Okay. A lunar eclipse represents a meeting of your emotions, so clearing away the emotional baggage in the previous 6 months. Okay, so it's quite a time of making movements and moving forward. Okay. So I want you to use your increased emotional strength and intuition to overcome any challenges, because sometimes it's as much to do with putting things aside and putting them to the back of your mind as much as anything else. All right. I want to talk to you about poppets, otherwise known as voodoo dolls. Okay. We're going to be making poppets this evening, and I'm going to show you a very, very simple way. I am so rubbish at needlework. And if I can make them, anyone can make them, believe me, because my needlework is shocking. Okay, and I went to an all-girls school, and I had to learn. It was compulsory, but I was rubbish. So the magical poppet is one of the most commonly used implements in sympathetic magic, as they call it, which follows along the theory that like creates like. So although TV shows and movies typically show poppets as a stereotypical voodoo doll, and you see bad things about them, poppets have been around a long time, and they've been used in a number of different cultures and religious beliefs. It's not just in paganism, and they're used to heal, mostly to bring good luck. They're not the way the awful connotation has been made over the years. There are many ways to create a poppet, and they can be used to harm. But there's a little thing they say in the pagan world: do what you will and harm none. All right, and that is so important. And also there's the threefold rule. Some believe in it, some don't. Okay, and the threefold rule says what you give out, you get back threefold. So if you give out good things, you get good things back threefold. If you give out healing, you get healing back threefold. If you give out love, sometimes it doesn't feel like you get love back threefold, but maybe you do from other sources, from people you're not expecting it from. Okay, so always give out positive to get positive back, positive regards. And I teach people this in ghost hunting, you know, treat the spirits with respect, even if their backstories aren't ones that, you know, deserve respect. Treat them with respect, and you will get respect back. All right, and that is so important. A puppet is usually made from cloth or fabric, but you can also make one from clay, wax, wood, or just about anything. All right. You can fill your puppet with herbs, stones, bits of wood, paper, sigils. I'm going to be doing a workshop, I reckon, at the next full moon. I'm thinking of doing a sigil workshop, okay? Teach you how to make sigils, how to write sigils. All right, magical sigils, okay? I think that's what I'll do next time, because I think that's something that you're kind of going that way towards. All right. So you can fill that with sigils. I've just recently made one for someone for their birthday, and I put a sigil in it, and that sigil was for health and for healing. Okay, and I will show you how to make one of those next time, if you tune in. You don't have to put anything in there. You can fill it with anything you like. I'll show you what I'm going to be filling mine with tonight, okay? And it's not standard stuffing. No, it's something different, all right? Something you'll have at home. Once the puppet is created, you'll need to connect it to the person it represents, all right? So this can be done using a magical link or something, you know. As it is, the one I'm doing tonight is for my own health and for keeping it in my own home as my own good luck charm, okay? So watch how, you know, things go like this. So remember, the puppet is a useful magical tool and can be used in a variety of workings. Use it for healing, to banish harmful people from your life, to bring abundance your way. The choices are limitless. So however you want to make your puppet is entirely up to you. I'm going to show you how to make one for healing, but it's very simple to change it, okay? When most people think of a puppet, they automatically think of the voodoo doll. Thanks to the term's negative portrayal on movies and in television. But however, the use of dolls in sympathetic magic goes back several millennia. Back in the days of ancient Egypt, the enemies of Ramesses, who were numerous and included some of his harem women and at least one high-ranking official, used wax images of the pharaoh to bring about his death. Okay, so history goes back a long way of these, all right? It wasn't uncommon for the Greeks to use sympathetic magic in workings related to love or war. Christopher Ferrone from the University of Chicago is one of the foremost authorities on Greek magic today, and says that Greek puppets called kolossi were sometimes used to restrain a ghost or even a dangerous deity or bind two lovers together. So they have multiple uses. Theocritus refers to melting and burning wax dolls. He relates a tale of Simiatha, rejected by Delphis, attempts to get her lover back with magic. There's a story of the princess who played with dolls. The dolls weren't limited to the ancient classical world. The one-time Princess of Wales, Caroline of Brunswick, was married to a man who later became King George IV, and evidently couldn't stand him. And she spent many hours forming wax dolls of her husband and jabbing them with pins. Although there's no concrete evidence as to what this may have done to George, when Caroline ran off to Italy with her young lover, George didn't object. And the couple remained married but lived separately until Caroline's death in 1821. West Africans, slaves, brought with them a doll called a fetish, which has a whole different connotation as we know it. But when they were forced to leave their homes and come to American colonies, the doll is not so much representative of an individual, but is possessed by spirits connected to the doll's talisman, to the owner. All right? So a fetish contains significant power and is typically worn or carried as a talisman. During American colonial period, slave owners were allowed to kill any slave found with a fetish in his possession. It goes on. American hoodoo and folk magic, the use of poppets as a magical tool became popular following the Civil War. There was some dispute as to whether dolls were used at all in Haiti, which is the home of the voodoo religion, and a few sources disagree on whether the use of poppets is truly a voodoo practice or not. So it may be nothing to do with voodoo, or voodoo as a place, or voodoo as a people. So, regardless of how you make your poppet, out of cloth, a glob of wax, remember that poppets have a long tradition behind them, and the tradition is influenced by the magical practices of a wide range of cultures. So treat your poppets well, and they will do the same for you. So don't stick it in the bottom of a drawer. Don't stick it in the car and ignore it. Yeah, look after it, like I do my tarot cards. Yeah, treat it with respect, okay? A poppet can be as simple or as elaborate as you like. It all depends on how much time and effort you put into it. You can construct one out of just about any material: cloth, clay, wood, wax. Use your imagination. In some magical traditions, it's believed the more work you put into it, the more complex it is. The stronger your link will be to your goal. Because a poppet is a device for sympathetic magic. All of its components will be symbols of what it is you hope to achieve. So you can do your poppet making as part of your work in itself, or it can be made ahead of time so you can use your poppet later on. Which method you choose is up to you. Remember, your poppet represents a person. So figure out before you begin who it symbolises. Is it you? Is it a friend who's asked for help? An unnamed lover you want to bring into your life? A gossip you want to shut up? The possibilities are endless, but just like in any spell working, you'll need to set a goal before you begin. It keeps you from having to deal with do-overs later. Alright, these instructions are a basic poppet construction, and what I'm going to speak to you about is how I will make a very basic poppet. Alright, and it is basic. Okay, so it's not rocket science, I promise. Now, you can choose different coloured fabric dependent on what you want to do. Like animals were green, brown, like so anything pet related would be green or brown. Banishing would be black. Creativity would be orange or yellow. Healing, silver, white or blue. It doesn't have to be. Love, pink or red. Money, silver, gold or green. Protection, red or white, with patterns of shields, keys or locks, fences and mistletoe. So when it comes to the type of fabric, use what's easiest for you. I'm going to do what I'm teaching you tonight is with felt, because felt's easy. And I know some of you have said I can't sew. I can't sew either. But you can stick it. Fabric glue. I actually made one with fabric glue. So it does work. Alright. So I'm going to show you how to make it. Alright. So it's going to be like a Blue Peter moment. So you get the back of a cornflake packet. Or anything. Any sort of cardboard. Anything you got laying around. Alright. Needs to be quite stiff. You know, not like a piece of paper. And you're going to cut a basic doll shape. Alright. So I need you to draw a basic doll shape, right? But make sure, don't do what I did the first time I made this. Make sure the arms and legs are wide enough that you can poke stuffing down it, alright? The first one I made had really spindly legs and spindly arms. Not this time, but many moons ago, alright? Doesn't have to be perfect. See, mine's imperfect. It's perfectly imperfect. Alright, so you draw around. Mine's a Rice Krispie box. So you draw and you make a shape of a person or a shape of a doll. Alright, it's pretty simple to make. Okay, then I want you to get 2 squares of fabric, all I did was that sort of size folded over. Alright, you put the dough on it and you draw around it. Now I'm going to do that, but I don't think you can see me doing it. So I'm going to draw around it. I need something, sight them right. Tell I've been doing my uni work. Right, so, okay, and draw around it. I'm using a Sharpie because it's what I had handy. And the way I'm going to do it, you won't see the Sharpie marks. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's perfectly imperfect, like me. Alright, so you draw around it. Doesn't have to be perfect, as I say, again, I keep saying it. Right, so you draw around it. Okay, so you've got that shape, you see? And because it's doubled over, alright, I'm going to cut it. I'm trying to do it in so you can see what I'm doing clearly. So I'm not treating you like children. Alright, so let's cut it. Right, so I'm going to cut round my shape. I'm going to cut slightly in so as I get rid of the pen mark. Not that it matters because I can turn it inside out. Cut round. It doesn't have to be perfect again, as I say. Felt is ideal because it doesn't fray. Okay. Okay. So what I'm doing, just cutting out a rough dull shape. I'm trying to cut the other half of it as you go. Alright. So you can re-watch this, pause where you need to, as long as you make it within 2 days of the full moon, or 3 days actually, I think it is officially, then that's fine. So, nearly there. See, my scissor action is about as good as my that's wrong, sounds wrong on every level. Right, it is about as good as my sewing. Right, so we have that shape. Right, now, so I have 2 pieces, okay, and you see that if you put them back to front, let me try and work this out, like that, you don't see the pen mark because the pen mark's the other side. Look, yeah, so you go like that, right, and you're going to sew. I used a blanket stitch. Right, now I need to show you a blanket stitch. Well, I'll show you what I've done, okay? So I'm jumping ahead a bit. So this is my poppet, and you see what I've done is I've sewn all the way around him using a blanket stick. You can use any stitch. You can stick it with anything, glue. And a basic blanket stitch for someone who is like me who can't sew, right, can you see, is, so you put your needle in, okay, and as you come out part way, you catch, that's what I'm doing, you catch that and do that, okay, and that creates a blanket stitch. Yeah, so you sew it all the way round. Alright, now, so then you end up with that shape. Leave the top, the head, so you can stuff it. Alright, now, so imagine as a Blue Peter moment, you've done all the way around, right? and you have this little empty shell without that written on the front, right? You've got this little empty shell. Now, we fill it with stuff that we want to bring stuff to us. So for healing, I put a bay leaf in it with healing written on it. I put lavender inside. I may use, now what I did was I used lavender oil, okay, and I found an old t-shirt of mine. This is an old t-shirt of mine. Good at cutting up t-shirts, it would seem. And I used to be a lot bigger, and this was again one that was far too big. So I stripped it into strips, right? So it belonged to me. So the fact that it belonged to me will personalise that poppet to me. You can use a couple of pairs of tights. It's just happened that I couldn't find any with holes in. Alright, and I thought, no, it's too good to waste. So I found an old t-shirt that was hanging off me, right? Now the good thing about this was my t-shirt had buttons on. So I'll show you what I did with the buttons in a minute. So I've just cut it roughly, really roughly, shredded it. There's the label there, look. See it? So I've shredded it and I covered it with essential oils. Yeah, to bring that healing to me. I also popped a crystal inside. Okay, you can also put a sigil in, which I'm going to teach you next time. But I'm going to tell you another way of doing it. You don't have to put it inside. Right, so I've got all my essential oils on my old t-shirt, and I've cut it out, right, and I've sewed part way, just left the head open. Yeah, make sure you leave the head open because you've got to stuff it. And you see I've pretty much stuffed it, and that's almost a whole size, God knows how big t-shirt. Alright, so it's well stuffed in there. Now I'm going to continue to stuff it, alright, and put a crystal in there. Put a clear crystal or an obsidian or anything, or a lavender or something that's going to help you to bring that healing to you. Anything you like, anything you feel you're drawn to, put that inside your poppet. Alright, and while you're doing it, think about how lovely it would be if everything was better. Whether it's healing your broken heart, healing your mental health, healing your illnesses, healing your aches and pains, whatever it is you're trying to heal. Imagine what life would be like if you didn't have that. Imagine, I have complex PTSD, and I think, imagine what life would be like if I didn't have that. Imagine how life would be if I didn't have those awful pain in my heart, if I didn't have that awful hurt, that awful loneliness, that's terrified of being alone. You think how lovely that would be if you didn't have that, if you didn't have that permanent scar there. And the fact you need to imagine that's gone while you're doing this, alright? So I'm going to continue stuffing my poppet. So imagine you've done this much, right? So you need to make sure he's nice and fat, so you poke it right down. I used a spoon, the end of a spoon, to get him down the arms and into the legs, okay? So I used all that. And stuff him right up the head, okay? Once you've got all your bits in there, I've got some crystals in there. Right, you don't have to put them in though, I'll show you another way. Right, so that looks pretty much doll shaped, yeah? Maybe a little bit more. That's virtually a whole t-shirt in there, squashed up. Right. Oh, that bit's too much. Right, so then I'm going to close her up. Close my poppet up, alright? So I'll do a quick oojimy firkin for a moment. So I'm not going to make you watch me do the whole thing, alright? But I will close that together then, alright? So that's closing that up and closing that intention, that magic within that beautiful, lifelike poppet. Alright, well, it's not really lifelike, I mean, don't look much like a person, but it's lifelike enough. Alright, so I'm just doing a basic blanket stitch. You can see how bad I am, and I'm closing him up. Alright, and when you've done that, This is the important bit. You can cut another little bit of felt. Yeah. So have a look. So I want to cut a little square bit of felt. I'll find the scissors, which I'll put down here. Right. So I want to cut a square bit of felt. Not particularly big. It's that big. Yeah. And I'll show you why. Because what I'm doing is I'm making him a little pocket on his back. So you sew that around the 3 edges again, same way. Well, I use just a normal stitch, okay? So it's like a pocket. And you can change what things you want in there, like what magical herbs, what anything you might want, what sigils when I teach you them next time. You might want to tuck one in, as and when you need to change it, it's there then, isn't it? You might want to give your poppet a face. You might want to not give your poppet a face. You can be as creative or as pretty crap as me, alright? Now you see I've got 2 buttons from my t-shirt and I've made a pair of eyes. You see how off centre they are? And I've also sewn the words healing down it. You could write using a Sharpie or a pen. You could make it as colourful as you like. Make it as lovely as you like. Give it hair. Give it clothes. I mean, anything you feel confident to do. Mine's very basic, but anything you feel confident to do, then do it, because this is your magic. All right. So when you've done that and you've drawn on it and you've decorated it, okay, and you've put all your time and your energy, I've made him a little pouch. You've put all your time and your energy and all your love and intention into that physical representation of a person, all right? I want you to then think again about how your life would be with all these lovely healing working, all right? And I want you to say, I'm going to post this up afterwards. I want you to say this. Troubled blood with sleep's unease, remove the cause of this disease. Sleep eternal nevermore, and shift the source of illness born to this poppet whom none shall mourn. I'll say it again. Troubled blood with sleep's unease, remove the cause of this disease. Sleep eternal nevermore, and shift the source of illness born to this poppet whom none shall mourn. So the idea is that you are going to send bad things to the poppet. Alright, the poppet that's going to encourage all these good things, and it's going to neutralise all these things that you've gone through in your life, all these illnesses, everything. It's going to neutralise that, alright? Because none shall mourn the poppet. What I want you to do then as well, also, now, in the old days, in the good old days, voodoo dolls, as they were called, or poppets, had a very, very bad name. And people used to think that sticking pins in them was a way of hurting the person who you intend to hurt. But sticking pins in them is also known as helping for things where you want the power of the healing, or the power of the love, or the power of whatever it was what you want to give to that person. It's a person of way of centering that energy to that place. So as long as it looks, I've got some hat pins. They've got different colours. Can you see? So I know that I have complex PTSD, and that is the head, right? So I'm not going to get a pain in my head when I do this, because I'm centering the healing energy there. So I'm going to poke a pin into him. Alright, can you see this, the pretty bit standing up? I'm also know that I could do with some heart, because I have some real issues in my heart. So I'm going to use pink for the heart. Right, and I'm going to put that into my heart. It doesn't mean that I'm hurting me. It means that I'm centering my energy. Alright, now I also have issues with my knees, so I'm going to put a pin where my knees would be. Alright, yeah, see them sticking out? And I'm going to put one on the other side as well, which don't poke yourself. Put on the other side too. Alright, now I'm asking that energy, healing energy, to go to these places, which is where I need it most. Okay? Now you can draw, you can make it pretty. Honestly, the sky's the limit. It all depends on how clever and how demonstrative and how creative you are as to how beautiful your puppet will end up. Alright? Mine's not so great, but you know what? I made that with my own love and my own hand. And it's got everything, it's got all the magical properties that I want to bring that healing to me. Alright? So, puppets aren't all bad. Then you should leave your puppet. I wouldn't leave it in the lounge because people think you're screwy. Maybe leave it on your altar if you have an altar. Or I will leave mine in my bedroom, my puppet, where I sit every day, like my vision board. Alright? Because I don't want every Tom, Dick and Harry to know that I've got essentially a voodoo doll with pins sticking out of it sitting around. And doing it on this night, on the lunar eclipse, on the last full moon of spring, is powerful. Okay, so I want you to do this. Alright, and I will finish that later. Right, also, those who joined me for last month's full moon, when we did the vision boards, will know that I lit a black candle. And I said that every full moon after, you had to light it and you had to think about your intentions. So I'm going to light my candle and I'm going to leave it burning. And I'm going to imagine I've got everything on that vision board again. Like I did last month. Like I did at the new moon. And like I will do next month. Alright? So I'm going to leave it standing and burning. There is one more thing you can do, which I do every time, and I would absolutely encourage you to do. And that would be to write down what you want to get rid of. Okay? What it is you want to rid from your life. But write it down as if you've got rid of it. So I pick up the Sharpie again. And I get a piece of paper. And what shall I get rid of this month? Negativity. So, we say it as if we've already lost it. So thank you for removing, it's a biggie, negativity, massive one, from my life. And then I'll bring something I want to bring into play as well, okay? And something that means a lot to me, and I don't know if many of you know, but part of the reason why I run this group and part of the reason why I am so passionate over this group is because of a very dear friend of mine, Don Styler. Now, he meant everything to me, I'll be honest. He was like a father. And I did love that old man very, very much. And he taught me an awful lot. He taught me a lot about shamanism. He was an amazing spiritual artist, amongst his many other talents. And he was an amazing person. An absolute warmth shone from that man. He could be cantankerous, but then can't we all? But you know what? He was amazing. And a week before, about a week, 2 weeks before he died, I said to him, what about if I start calling the group Don Styler's Psychic Quest, as it was? And he was chuffed to little monkeys. He died very soon after. And I promised, with every bone in my body and with every drop of blood in my veins, I will try and keep his name and carry it forward. And sometimes it gets tough, and I'm not perfect, and sometimes I do it wrong, but absolutely everything I do, whether it's healing, whether it's Don Styler's Hampshire Healing, whether it's DS Hampshire Haunts, as is now, whichever it is done with the most amount of love for that man. And it is with that love in my heart that I carry forward, and I really want the group to succeed. And I just thought I'd share that with you, because a lot of you don't know about Don. I mean, a lot of you will have been to the ghost hunts at Don Styler's gym, which was like home, really. Okay, and I would like to bring good things to the group. I'd like the group to flourish, so I'm going to ask for that. So thank you for making DS work now and always. And a love heart. Alright, now what I'm going to do when I come off here is I'm going to go outside and I'm going to burn that, and I'm going to make sure it burns. Okay, not quite in the light of the moon, although she's out there. I will be doing it in the presence of the moon, and that's most important. Alright, so I hope you've really enjoyed your full moon group tonight. Poppets, obviously this will be posted on the page, and you can go and make your own from whichever way you want. You can make it from anything, but make it, and make it with all the love and intention and all the good things, and it just might come true. You never know. Alright, and remember the saying, I will post it: troubled blood with sleep's unease, remove the cause of this disease, sleep eternal nevermore, and shift the source of illness born to this poppet whom none shall mourn. Okay, so I shall leave you, and I hope to see you next moon, and we'll be doing sigils, I would imagine. But any ideas, anything you want to see, give me a yell. I'm only human. And I'll see you Sunday for readings, if I'm not seeing you in the park tomorrow. Alright, take care. Alright, lots and lots of love to all of you. Alright, stay safe, because I want to see you all here next month. Alright, bye.